would suggest a electrical imbalance, or possibly hypercalcemia, right?
Why don't you just download it?
I'm trying to get it, like,
Why don't you just download it and
someone come up and make this work for me. Because it's fine on my.
I mean, really, I think if we just make it less than 100%, I think we'll be fine.
Whatever you're doing, just do it. Oh my gosh, you're amazing.
Wow.
Woo!
A+ for radiology.
All right. You and your ALS partner are dispatched for a 66-year-old male found by family unresponsive on the floor of his residence. The weather is poor with the rain and wind gusts. You are 15 minutes from a non-cath capable ER and 45 minutes from a cath lab. Mike, B. Are there P waves present in that? Okay, so tell me about those P waves. What does that mean? What does that tell you? Where is this coming from in the heart?
Not coming from the atria.
Atria might be involved, but if it's atria, it's going to be lower atria, right?
So it's going down by the AV.
More AV, absolutely. Okay, so if I think that this might be coming from the AV, okay, and I have inverted P waves, what rhythm am I expecting to see? What's the intrinsic rhythm of the AV? Rate, you mean? Yes, rate. 40 to 60. Okay, good. 40 to 60. Okay, so what do you think about those P waves? Other than they're inverted, we know that they're coming from the AV. We're looking at that rate. Oh, looking 40-ish. Looking like 40, 50-ish. Okay. Anything else you want to say about those P waves? Yeah, oh, absolutely. So these are wide. Take a look at these P waves. They're wide. Woo! Take a look at these P waves. Woo! All right, so yeah, they're widened. Okay.
It's been working.
I'm not going to, because with my luck, I'll break it forever. I couldn't manage Microsoft Office. Do you seriously think I can manage a smartboard tonight?
Probably because it was on Windows.
Anyway. Okay, so we're looking at our P waves. They're wider than they should be. However, they're uniform. And when I have a uniform P wave, I know that one thing is happening, and that's that is consistently coming from the same pacemaker, right? I know that it's coming from the same pacemaker.
What's the P wave again? The size? It's supposed to be the something something.
What is it supposed to be? Something something?
That's what I'm asking.
Okay, come on, let's write it up on the board so that we can refer. Why don't I have an eraser? What happened to our erasers in here?
I don't know. They didn't work very well anyway. You should probably just use an Amchem. They work better.
Yeah, no worries. But let's write everything up on the board to make this easy. It's like someone bled on the board now. This is terrible. All right.
No problem, Jake. I was channeling you.
It's
And
kind
then
of crooked.
I was like, what do you
Manage it. It's fine. P represents what?
That was on a quiz.
I got that one.
And what's the measurement? What should this be?
I'm 110 milliseconds.
Okay. How many little boxes is 110 milliseconds?
3 to 5.
3 to 5. Okay. So we can say that this measurement right here is supposed to be 3 to 5 little boxes. Okay, which equals what?
0.12.
How much is a little box worth?
0.04.
Okay, you guys got to come up with your plan. Like, seriously. 0.04. Okay, equals one little box. So, knowing this will tell you what that measurement is supposed to be. So what is 0.04 multiplied by 3?
0.12.
0.12. 0.04 multiplied by 5.
0.20.
Okay, that's what that's supposed to be.
Unicorns, milliseconds.
Okay, milliseconds, not chicken cows or unicorns. You're right. Okay, you guys have to know. You have to come back to this. This is really important stuff. Okay, what is the P to R interval supposed to be?
Here,
What does that represent?
The atrial depolarization and the AV node junction delay.
Say it louder.
The atrial depolarization and the delay at the AV node before they get to the ventricles.
So it's the tail end of atrial depolarization, and it's that slight delay that happens at the AV node. That's why if you have an AV block, this becomes longer. The P to the QRS becomes longer. Okay, that makes sense, right? Because I have a longer delay right there at that junction. That's why we call them an AV block. Okay, so that makes sense. So anytime you're thinking block, you're looking at your PR intervals. All right, what is a normal PR interval?
0.12 to 0.20.
By
Okay.
the way, the P wave should be less than 110 milliseconds.
Say that again.
P wave should be less than 110 milliseconds.
Are you sure?
I'm reading it right out of the book.
Should be less than 110?
Yes.
You're positive. So
It
how many
says in
little
the book.
boxes? How many
The
little
normal
boxes is
P
that?
wave duration is
Yes.
less than 110.
So how many little boxes is that? Less than?
So, less than
3 to less than 5.
Less than 3.
So it's less than 2.
Less than
I'm so.
2.5-ish.
Less than 3 or 2.5 little boxes. This is going to be. Okay. All right. What about QRS complex? What does this represent?
Ventricular depolarization. Or depolarization.
The QRS complex is actually the wave. A lot of people get screwed up and they think it's the point. It's not the point. This is not the Q. Okay, this is not the R. It's not how it works. It's the QRS. All right, and I know we talked about that before, but I need to make sure that you guys truly understand that because we're getting into 12 leads later tonight. If we don't have that firm in your head, it's going to be tough. So remember, the Q, it's the wave that has the name QRS. Okay? It's like the YMCA, but different. What is the measurement of the QRS complex?
Less than 1.1.
Less than 0.20, right?
Less than 100.
You guys tell me. I'm not going to tell you. You
Less
tell
than
me.
120.
0.12.
What is the measurement of the QRS complex? Where are your notes?
40 milliseconds.
Less than 120 milliseconds. Less than 120 milliseconds. I'm reading it right out of the book, guys. Less than 120 milliseconds.
I'm reading it from the notes, and like, yeah, 120 milliseconds or 0.12.
It's 3 boxes.
Good job. That's not what you said.
What's going on here? What is this? What is this called?
The
So this is your J point. Right in here is your J point.
ST segment.
ST segment.
And this is your ST segment. Okay. What's going on in your ST segment? What does that represent?
Right period between repolarization.
Okay. So this is, and it's actually 2 parts when we get into the T wave. You gotta remember that the T is actually 2 parts. Okay, it represents 2 things. What are those 2 things?
Absolute refractory relative.
Absolute and relative refractory periods. Good. So this ST segment is what? The beginning of repolarization of the ventricles. And what should it be? What's the measurement it should be, guys? Give me length and give me height. Good. Yeah. You really want to see that down on the isoelectric line. Do you guys remember talking about the isoelectric line? Okay. Is everyone? I need nodding. Yes. Good. Okay. Good. So everyone remembers the isoelectric line. You do not want to see ST segment elevation because ST segment elevation tells you that there could be a problem with the ventricular repolarization period and could indicate ischemia. Okay, and anytime we see indications of ischemia, we're thinking that this could be a potential active MI. All right, so what about the length? What are we looking at?
The length.
What about the length?
They don't say so.
The book does not advise.
I think it's
I don't think it matters.
NA, not applicable. It doesn't really matter. All right.
So
Now, when
how are
you're
you supposed
talking-
to determine if they got a prolonged QT?
We're going to get into that because it talks about the
It'll
appearance of the
change
J.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how you're really going to look at that. Okay. The ST or the T wave. What is the T wave? And remember the two-part, we talk about it.
Absolute and refractive.
So absolute is closer this way, and relative is that way. And this is refractory period. This is when everything is really starting to repolarize. All right? And it's like when you flush the toilet. Remember your book talks about flushing the toilet? You can't immediately flush again. It has to refill. So you have to let that repolarization take place down in the ventricles. Okay? And what are we looking for in that T wave? What do you want to see? What about the morphology of the T?
It's going to be less than half the height of the QRS.
There you go. You want to see less than half the height. All right. And what happens when it's not less than, or it's more than half the height of the QRS? What are we thinking? Electrolyte issues? I heard it somewhere over there. Everyone's nodding their head like, yeah, I said that. No, you didn't. It was one of you.
What is it?
It could be an issue with electrolytes. When you see, if it's not rounded, if you see it
Not getting rid of
peaked,
it.
if you see it depressed. Okay?
Can you,
So,
can you explain the significance of the J point too?
yeah, when we get into the 12 leads, we're really going to talk a lot about it.
Okay.
So basically the J point isn't something that you can definitively see 99% of the time. Once you start seeing, and it's a notch, okay? It's actually like a little notch. If you start seeing the J point, it kind of looks like this. You'll start it, and it'll get like a little notch right there. And that is telling you that there is something happening. It could be injury, or it could be an old injury or a new injury. But we know that there's some form of injury when you're talking about the J point. Okay? And when we get into 12 leads later on tonight, we're going to talk a lot more about the J point and what J point actually means.
So it's good to not have one at all?
It's always there, it's not seen often.
Okay.
A lot of what we see, okay, on our 12 leads is what is most apparent to the naked eye. You have a lot of electrical activity, okay, all the time, but it's not going to be obvious unless there's an ischemic event where there's another form of an issue like electrolyte imbalance, where if you have some form of a congenital issue, where it's going to pop out of the screen. A lot of kids have very obvious J waves. Has anyone in here seen a J wave on a 12 lead? Okay. Has anyone in here knows, does your kid have a J wave?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Like a lot of young kids, you can see them. My son had a J wave like almost from birth. I was like, why is that there? Is this ischemic? And they're like, no, it's just normal. It's just a kid. It's fine. But, you know. All right. Does that help a little bit? Can we leave this up here and move on?
Yeah, so is there a specific measurement for a U wave, or are they just, if they're present, then they're indicative of what they're...
A J wave?
No, a U wave.
So when you're are you talking about in situations where you have a lot of hypothermic patients and
Like,
you're dealing with...
Yeah, hypothermic, hypokalemia.
You will see a lot of that. It's
Is there
going
a
to
measurement?
be...
Is presence indicative of that, or is there a measurement for that?
It's a measurement. Okay, I mean, obviously some things are going to kind of... You're going to have people, hypothermic people are going to have a U wave. They talk about that a lot. You have patients who are renal players. You're going to see a U wave a lot. When you get into the measurements of that, I will be very honest with you. I'd have to really sit and look at that because it's not something that I look at pre-hospital a lot. I do have a really good presentation by Scott. Let me look at that and I'll post it on Blackboard. Let me write myself in it. Can I borrow your pen for 2 seconds? Thank you.
Want a note card?
No, I'll lose it. If I lose my hand, I'm screwed. Thank you. All right. All right. So we know, we were talking to Mike, we know that this is inverted, so we know that it's probably coming from the junction. Ed, what else is going on in here? What's the rate? Why are we giggling? I just asked for the rate. There's some FLB really.
Is that a 6-second stroke?
Thank you, thank you.
That's good.
I'm counting.
You can come up and count too, if it's easier.
No.
If you need to touch the board, you can.
Can I? Can I write it?
Come on,
Put it in the
focus.
box.
Squirrel, come on, let's go.
Where? Ed, you don't even see this. 40. See the blue? I got blue. 40. 40. Right.
Excuse me.
It's
Okay.
a 6-second strip. So
It's a 6-second strip, so all you have to do is look at the R's. Okay. So it's about 40. So, what does that tell you?
Coming from the 80 junction.
Thanks, Mike Ed. All
I
right.
would say that it's pretty clear.
It totally is a braided card rhythm because it's less than 60, so it's absolutely accurate. You're also going to have a situation, maybe John would, you're also going to have a situation where it confirms your initial impression that it is coming from the junction. So that jives. When we're talking about coming from the AV junction, we're talking about the inverted P wave or absence of a P wave, depending on where the junction is originating. And we're looking at our intrinsic rate, which is 40 to 60. So in this instance, Ed's description basically matches up exactly what Mike was thinking. That this is definitively coming from. Why is this funny?
Because.
Okay, good talk. We're moving on. All right, Mayor, when you look at this patient, what do you know about the QRS complex? Are those QRS complexes okay? Any issues with that? No concerns? Okay. What about the T wave? What do you notice about the T wave?
Longer.
Okay, maybe in length a little concerning. Okay, but length we're not really too concerned with.
How long is it supposed to be?
Really, we look at height as the
We
big
don't look at the
issue.
length.
Length.
Okay.
Well, it's, I see, that's, it's, I wouldn't consider it SC depression.
No way.
No,
Can I ask
I
a
wouldn't
question?
consider, I wouldn't consider the, yeah, I wouldn't consider the T wave to be like peak or.
These look okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Ian, you have a question?
Especially at the end of that first QRS,
This?
is that like a really pronounced check?
That's a J wave. I was coming back to this. Yeah, right there. Does everyone see that? Can I actually draw without killing this? Is someone gonna fix this if I break it?
I mean, I don't know how well it's calibrated, but yeah, you can.
Okay, right here.
Cover the eraser.
It needs to be, no, the eraser.
Pick up the eraser, put it down.
But you gotta put the pen, there you go.
Okay, I'm gonna try this one more time.
We're gonna calibrate it on break for you.
There you go. Okay.
That is
That's the
basically
entire-
isoelectric line.
This is that entire.
It's right here. Okay, that is a J wave.
It
Should
was
put an
No,
arrow.
It's the one that looks,
I hate
Yeah.
this.
look like,
We'll fix it on the break. We'll fix it when you clean it.
Okay, it's right here. Does everyone see the J wave?
just look at the arrow and look up.
Basically, if you look in that area,
Right where Danielle's been pointing the entire time is the J wave.
the area where the finger touches.
You gotta put the pen down. Good job. And you put them in the wrong spots, that's why it was writing black instead of blue.
She's very clever. God, okay.
She
All
wants
right.
us to move over so we can use the chalkboard.
I'm so much more comfortable to talk. All right, so yes, that is a J wave. All right, so Mayor, we're looking at this. Would you diagnose this rhythm for me, please?
Like what caused it?
I need you to name that rhythm.
Yes, Snickers if you get it right. Or cinnamon.
Is this an accelerated junctional rhythm, Mike S? Why? Why is this not accelerated? Because it's within the normal intrinsic firing rate of the AV junction, and it's coming from the junctional. So anything 40 to 60 is normal. Anything over 60 is going to be accelerated. Anything over 100 is tach. Make sense, guys?
So this could be,
You're gonna eat a cinnamon.
I'm gonna eat cinnamon.
this could be AV junctional. If it were at 105, then it would be AV junctional tachy.
It would just be junctional tach. Yes. Does that make sense, guys?
But wouldn't
Oh.
it just be tachycardia then? Not, because
You have to name it. Say tachycardia. Anything could be
well,
tachycardia.
then wouldn't it be ventricular tachycardia? Because
Because we have a P wave.
Once the QRS widens,
but I
then it would
thought
become
I
ventricular
thought
tach.
accelerated junctional is the last it could be before 100, and then after 100 it becomes ventricular tachycardia.
No. Not
It's
from the
not
junction.
ventricular because it's got a P wave, right?
If you had a widened QRS complex, no P wave, then yes. There is such a thing as junctional tachycardia, and it is a junctional rhythm that is over 100.
The only
You look
difference.
so angry. Does your book talk about that
If it
I'm
was over-
missing?
Why would it not be tachycardic
Reg-
if it was over
Regular
60?
atrial.
They say it's accelerated.
Right.
Anything that's,
My bad.
Tachycardia.
That was a dumb question.
no, it's not at all.
I should have known that.
Yes, you should.
Listen, anything that is over 100 is tachycardic. Okay? Blanket statement. When you have something that is accelerated, it is accelerated beyond the normal firing, intrinsic firing rate of where it's coming from. So when you have a junctional tachycardia, the normal intrinsic rate of that is 40 to 60. After 60, because it's still under 100, we can't consider it tach, but we say it's accelerated. You can have a junctional tachycardia, okay, without it coming exclusively from the ventricles. In that junctional tachycardia, you are not going to see widening of the QRS complex. I will find you a junctional tach and I will bring it in so that you can see it.
I have a question.
Yes.
So the difference between a junctional tachycardia above 100 and regular atrial, possibly tachycardia, is because it's the P wave is inverted.
Yes. And you guys have to also understand, when you're talking about junctional rhythms, the P wave is either inverted or absent.
Okay.
Okay?
And if it were absent,
Inverted or absent.
we would not say ventricular because we'd need the QRS to be wide to do that.
Yes.
So the
Got it.
book
What?
looks like it calls it supraventricular tachycardia because it's above the ventricles, but it's probably
So
below
remember-
the AV.
Remember what we talked about? That supraventricular tachycardia was an umbrella term for anything that's above the ventricles. Do you remember me saying this?
So a junctional tachy would fall into that umbrella?
Yes.
Okay.
Or those are getting told not to go nowhere.
Does everyone remember the blanket statement that anything in SVT is an umbrella term to cover multiple tachycardias that are coming from an area above the ventricle?
Yeah.
Yes or no? Okay. This is one of those instances. When you say SVT, pre-hospitally, you're saying that we know it's coming from above the ventricles. We know for a fact it's coming from above the ventricles. We don't know where it's coming from. It could be a rapid atrial rhythm that can't necessarily be considered an atrial, a rapid AFib, or a rapid a flutter, okay, if it's regular. So yes, a rapid or tachycardic junctional tach or junctional tachycardia is going to be considered junkicardia. I don't know where that came from.
Jacksonal tachycardia.
We're taking a break in 5 minutes. Right now, all right? But that is going to be one of the items that could be considered an SVT. Yes. Okay. There's actually an SVT in this. We're going to talk about that getting into it. I apologize for the confusion.
That's okay.
Okay.
All this, you got
I don't want to hug it out. I'm just saying. no hope in the world. I'm still sick. All right. So this is our now you got me saying it's accelerated. God damn it. Our junctional tachycardia. It's
Bradycardia. Relax, Sherry.
We're gonna break.
It's okay.
We're gonna break. Go away. I'll see you in 5 minutes. If you're gonna smoke, do not smoke in the front of the building. Please.